Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying everyone should have a child for the sake of, the greater good of America. But it's an interesting question. And that's why I'm asking you, do you have children, and why did you have them, and are you glad you have them, given the cost, the expense, and the sacrifice, particularly right now with the economy going in the toilet? But you look back in the age of the grapes of wrath, for example, they had 5, 6, 7, 8 children. They wouldn't have thought of aborting a child in those days. They wouldn't have thought of not having children in those days. They spread it. The food was shared. They got along. Somehow they got through it. I'll never forget when I was young and I was just starting out. My aunt, God rest her soul, I loved her. She was so smart. She was one of the, down-to-earth, spoken Russian realism. She spoke in black and white. Let me put it to you that way. Everything with her was blunt and straightforward. She could have been a good talk show host, but, they didn't have it in those days. So we were talking about children, so she said to me, you don't need more than 2. She says, have 2 and raise them right. Just boom, that's it. That was the beginning and the end of the conversation. She said, raise 2 right, that's all you need. Meaning, how many should we have? 3, 5? Some have more. She's raised 2 right. And, go try to raise more than 2 children. It's not easy. Some do. I meat people who have more than 2. I don't know how they do it. I was in the mall last week. I'm a mall hound. And it's like a town area, it's like the equivalent of a town center today, a mall. A mall, when you think about it, an outdoor mall with a restaurant, coffee shop, this and that, is the town. Because who goes to a town really anymore? Where are their towns? So I see a whole spectrum of people go by. I see a young guy, nice-looking guy, 4 children. And he's a handsome guy. This guy could have been a runaround, 100 children, women all he wanted. Why does he have children, I ask myself. What motivated him? Or I read the other day, for example, there's an actor and a producer. Oh, God, his name is escaping me now. He's a pretty good actor, too. He has 3 children with a woman. They've been living together for 8 years. They just got married. He was in the movie he's in 100 different movies. He's the producer of that terrible series that I despise. I'm drawing blanks here. This is terrible. You're watching a man deteriorate before your ears. I can't remember. Entourage. He produces Entourage, which I can't stand. I can't stand any of the characters. They're the snottiest kind of guys. I can't stand that kind of guy. Creeps, Hollywood creeps. They disgust me. They're the antithesis of what the white male should be, those vermin on Entourage. Big deal. What do they stand for? Getting high and getting elled? Big deal. I don't like it. Anyway, so who's the producer? Come on, help me out here, guys. You should have... What? Still looking. 8 guys, they're searching. 18 ISDN websites, ISBN. Who is the guy I'm talking about? He was in the movie The Departed. Remember? Mark Wahlberg, thank you. That only took 4 minutes for me to remember. That's very nice. I think I'm wearing my pajamas over my tuxedo as well. Here, Mark Wahlberg got married last week to his long-term girlfriend. They had 3 children together, and they got married. He did the right thing, finally. You have children, you get married. You got a child, you get married. That's it. That's all there is to it. End of the story. Don't ask yourself a question. You get married. That's it. Don't look to the stars for the answer. Look to what's right. But he did the right thing. So there's an example. Why he couldn't have gone out with 100 women a week? Why did he decide, for example, a guy with everything in the world in terms of fame, good looks, money, why did he decide to stick with one woman, have children, and get married? Why? You ask yourself. Not everybody is motivated to run around and, have sex every 5 minutes. Some are, some aren't. And they could, some couldn't, they don't. Don't assume everyone who gets married couldn't run around. Why don't they? So what is it in the genetic coding of a human being to have children? What is it? What's the purpose of it all? What's the meaning of it all? I ask you these questions because the issue of the cost of children came up. Middle-income family spends $221,000 to raise a baby, and I asked, are children worth it? Why or why not? In the next hour, we'll talk about something else. I'm sure many people are going to continue to talk about this, but, you want me to talk about North Korea and the 2 journalists, so-called journalists. A journalist already. Nobel Prize. Invited to the White House maybe for a sushi now. Savage. Michael Savage.
Afternoons 3 to 7.
On Talk 910 KNEW.
And online at 910KNEW.com.
From San Fran Freak Show, the Savage Nation. from Talk 910 KNEW.
Eloquent in their own way.
Armstrong and Getty. Weekday mornings 6 to 10. Talk 910 KNEW.
Warning. The Michael Savage Show contains adult language, adult content, psychological nudity. Listener discretion is advised.
America's most exciting radio talk show, The Savage Nation. Here is Michael Savage.
The beginning of summer at the Hotel Ozone, not actually the end of summer at the Hotel Ozone. It's a slow time. It's a summertime. I actually experienced 10 minutes of summer the other day. Very hard to feel the seasons when you're in radio because you're every day the same thing. You know, you got to be involved with the news and the this and thinking. I have a van. One of the things I cherish is a Chevy van, which I use very seldom. It's in a garage all the time, covered. A Chevy Savannah van, like with a pop-top with captain's chairs and a big TV in it. In the past, when we got it 5 years ago, I used to go to L.A. in it. And I like going down Highway 5. We don't do it anymore. But the other night after the show, I got in the van with Teddy, my dog, and I took a short drive, local, out to a yacht harbor out in Western Marin. I don't know where I was. And I watched the sun go down. I watched the fog come blowing back through over the mountains, over the western mountains, the coastal range, so to speak. And, you know, for 5-10 minutes, I realized how beautiful the world really is, and I had my summer. I don't need this every day. I don't know. It'd be nice. Putin goes to Siberia, horseback riding, throwing himself in rivers, whatever, ever to Easter Zone, you know. Well, here we are. So we're talking about the issue of children, because the AP put out an Obama story telling you children are very expensive. And the implication is that after they push socialized medicine, we're going to need child care from the government, because that's the way it's done in Daddy Cuba's, in Daddy Fidel's country. And, of course, Obama learned at the footstool of Fidel Castro, Joseph Stalin, and the others on how to raise, you know, that it takes a village. And in the communist Potemkin village, we have universal health care, then we have universal child care, we have universal psychiatric care, we have universal police care. We have universal care that stems all from the dictatorship of Obama. And we're not talking about Obama because we've done it. We know who he is. He's a naked Marxist. And that doesn't mean he's a bad guy. It means that he's just un-American, that his entire system of thought is alien to the country. And most Americans who think know that. But when you read that over 37 million Americans are on antidepressants, and you add to that number the people who are drunk, then you add to that number the people who are on marijuana, then you add to that number the people who are on cocaine, you realize that there are very few millions left who are conscious and aware of the fact that we are losing our freedoms in this country on a daily basis. So here we are, and we're talking about children. Why do you have children in a world like this? That's really the next question. Should you have children in a world like this? And I remind you, people had children during the plague. They had children during the Little Ice Age. They had children during the Irish potato famine. They had children. People, even in the death camps, believe it or not, there were cases of Jewish people having a child in a death camp. Why? Why would they have a child in a death camp? Hide the infant from the Nazis. Why would they have a child? What is this? What kind of madness is this to have a child when you have nothing to eat and you're being tortured to death? How is this possible? So what's the human desire for children? Where does it come from? Is it so inherent in the human race? Well, it seems to be, except in San Francisco and New York. It seems to be an inherent drive in people to get married and have children. And so the question is it worth it? And why? Or why not? So let's go to the calls on the Savage Nation. Let's start on the East Coast right now. New York, WOR. John, children is the question. What's your comment, please?
Dr. Savage, it's not to be, simplistic, but it's the joy. It's the happiness. It's the sharing with your child. I mean, my wife and I are married for 23 years. We have 3 children. My greatest regret in my life is that we did not have a 4th, because I sat down with a piece of paper and a pencil and figured out that maybe I couldn't afford it. Maybe I should have been on welfare, and I could have had 9 of them.
Yeah, well, or an illegal alien. You see, the way to have more would have been for you to go over the border, grow a mustache, change your name, and then the ACLU would have been waiting for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that bothers me to the core all the time. And, then you hear about this Octomom. I mean, that infuriates me.
Well, there you go. She should have children like my dog should have children. My dog should have children better than her. So your regret is that you didn't have a 4th. Thank you.